My name is Jonah, and my research project is Green Cincinnati, reducing carbon footprints one city at a time. An overview of what drew me to the topic of this study. The social, ecological, and economic benefits that go hand in hand with renewable and green energy interest me. Also, the threat of climate change and global warming is a large concern in modern culture, and whatever can be done to save the world from the disastrous effects that they have should be done. This is a video of global temperatures over time. It starts out in the 1880s and gets, as you can see, with the start of the Industrial Revolution, it gets warmer and warmer. And with the start here in the 1920s, it's really big with the Industrial Revolution. Here we kind of get into where World War II kind of starts and it gets even hotter. When you start in the 50s, where it's steady, and in the 60s and 70s, it's a little cooler because there was more ecological stuff happening there. With the 80s and 90s, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, and with the 2000s to today, finally here today, you can see that it's a lot warmer than it should have been just a couple decades ago. Some important definitions for this topic are green energy, which is energy that is derived from a natural resource, and are renewable, non-renewable energy, or energy that is produced by natural sources of which there are a limited amount and once consumed cannot be replaced. Kinetic energy, which is energy that is created from the movement of objects. The piezoelectric effect, which is the ability of certain materials to generate an electric charge in response to applied physical stress. Climate change is the change in climate patterns in a global or regional scale, which is what we just saw. Global warming, which is an increase in temperature of the Earth's climate and atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by the increased levels of pollutants. And finally, biomass, which is the total amount of organisms in a given area, and in the case of biomass fuels and energy, it is the mass of organisms that is burned to create power, kind of like coal. The advantages of hybrid societies. This study examines several environmentally friendly solutions to the over-application of fossil fuels and other costly non-renewable energy sources. The term global warming first appeared in geochemist Wallace Broker's 1975 Scientist magazine article. Climatic change. Are we on the brink of a pronounced global warming? Scientists began studying the effect of greenhouse gases on Earth's climate more than a century prior to that. However, as early as 1820, Nicole Dusick, a postdoctoral fellow at the Sustainable Transportation Action Research Team, otherwise known as START, presents the benefits of a hydroelectricity and hybrid society with the case of Site C hydroelectric dam in British Columbia, Canada. Dusick uses the example of this project so as to elaborate on the idea of hybrid societies. Simon Guy, an architecture and planning professor at Lancaster University, offers an argument for sustainable buildings. Guy delves into the overall functionality of sustainable buildings and the social effects on a building's inhabitants. Sustainable building residents have more positive outlooks on sharing and cooperation. Erika Oberndorfer, as well as many other members of the American Institute of Biological Sciences, or AIBS, discuss the environmental benefits of green roofs through the analysis of evidence for the beneficiary use of green roofs. The AIBS members review articles and studies that other environmental scientists and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or US EPA, wrote in order to conclude that more research needs to be done in terms of water quality, for example, in integrating gray water reuse systems and reducing fertilization, air quality, such as the supported use of woody vegetation, in ecosystem services and community properties, for instance, increasing diversity. Cost-benefit models in order to increase cost effectiveness and to help comparative testing, and green roofs as ecosystems, so as to bring back certain climate temperatures in areas as well as certain ecosystems that were lost due to the building of urban centers. It is also important to note that the green roofs for healthy cities supported this initiative. Green transportation and reducing carbon emissions. Koji Omi, former Minister of Science and Technology of Japan, inspects that alternative solutions to fossil fuel-powered vehicles only realizes that electric vehicles and fuel fuel cell vehicles are far off in terms of becoming mainstream and cost-effective. So he advocates for the use of biofuels so as to head in the right direction, also known as shying away from non-renewable energy. Robin Meadows, a scientific journalist in the Ecological Society of America, or ESA, reports on the use of piezoelectrics as energy generators through the implementation of them around the world. Meadows uses examples such as a Tokyo train station that uses them to illuminate display boards, the lights of a San Francisco dance club, and road tests in Israel and Italy. Rachel Ehrenberg, a Knight Science Journalism fellow at MIT, published an article providing explanations for the environmental effects of green energy through a focus on biofuels. Ehrenberg uses expert studies to demonstrate why biofuels are a valid, clean energy solution. And green economic policies is the third. Jerome L. Garciano, a tax attorney and member of the energy group at Edwards, Angelo Palmer, and Dodd LLP in Boston, Massachusetts, explains the present tax incentives that are given out for renewable energy usage through internal revenue codes. Garciano claims that tax incentives will play an important role in clean energy production. David A. Taylor, a writer for the Smithsonian Institution and a member of the National Association of Science Writers, or NASW, clarifies that the economic benefits of green roofs through expert opinions. Taylor ascertains that in the long run, reducing costs of managing runoff and water pollution is beneficial to taxpayers. While the initial costs of a green roof may not pay itself off quite yet, Taylor also takes a focus on green roofs in an urban setting as he conducts most of his interviews in Chicago, Illinois. The biggest research gap that I had was a lack of research into solar and wind energy, as well as a cost analysis of Cincinnati's energy and the overall cost of green society with the savings that would happen with this. The research attained at this point is overly qualitative, and the research of more quantitative subjects in order to further this study into the possibilities of green society in the greater Cincinnati area is needed. A lack of solutions to climate change was also discovered. My hypothesis was if humanity wants to survive on Earth, then the effects of global warming must be reduced and reversed by creating a hybrid society within urban areas existing as the forefront of green revolution. A survey was sent out to the students of Highlands High School in order to amass more data. Highlands is made up of students aged 14 to 18 from families of lower middle class to upper class economic levels. The town of Fort Thomas is rather neutral on its political beliefs, and the school itself is progressive in the field of technology, giving students as many benefits as possible. The first question that I was asked was what kind of setting what first came to mind when they thought of the existence of renewable energy. Next question was what kind of energy first came to mind when that was also stated. The following question was asked if they believe that renewable energy could replace non-renewable energy such as coal, oil, or natural gas. The next three questions asked them to rank their opinion on their green energy-related knowledge, attitudes, and opinions. The second to last question asked whether the participants thought the foremost place of innovation really was. And the last question asked if there was something needed to be done about climate change. These questions were asked in order to gauge the knowledge and beliefs in regards to green energy of a certain population of upcoming American voters. The majority of the sources used were peer-reviewed articles gathered from the online database known as JSTOR. The main authors whose sources were used were Robin Meadows, Simon Guy, David Taylor, James Woolsey, and Paul Hawking, whose works outlined and explained the benefits of certain renewable energy sources. The first question asked what kind of setting came to mind when surveyors thought of the existence of renewable energy. The options were rural areas, small suburban towns, more populated suburban areas, small urban areas, and large urban areas were examples given for the last two options, such as Cincinnati and Cleveland for the smaller ones, and Chicago and New York for the larger ones. The top three responses were rural areas was 46.7% of the vote, small suburban towns was 17.2%, and large urban areas with 13.3. The next question asked was what type of energy production first came to mind when the term green energy was mentioned. The options were wind, solar, hydroelectric, nuclear, and kinetic. And the overall response was solar with 1/3 of the vote, wind with 26.1% of the vote. And this shows that the general population is rather uninformed when it comes to green energy production, as the three large solutions weren't what came directly to mind. The following question asks if they believe that renewable energy could replace non-renewables, such as coal, oil, and natural gas. The options were yes, which gained 48.9% of the vote, maybe, carrying 41.7% of the vote, and no, with only 9.4% of the vote. This shows the majority of students thought that replacing non-renewable energies with renewables was at least a possibility. The next three questions ask participants to rank their opinions on green energy-related knowledge and attitudes. The first of these three asked for them to rank their knowledge of green energy. The ranking was on a scale of 1 to 9, with 1 being nothing and 9 being expert in green energy. The average was a 4.8, with the majority selecting around 3 to 5. As you can see here, that is the orange category. The next question asks how a future that is sustainable on renewable energy makes them feel, ranking from 9 being scared and believing in fossil fuel to 9 feeling safe and believing in green energy. As you can see here, that is the red category. The average of this one was 6.9, and the majority selected between 7 and 9. The third ranking question asks the opinion of green or renewable energy on a scale from 1, a bad idea, to 5, a great idea. The average of the answers was 4.2, with the majority leaning towards 5. As you can see here, this is the blue. And this shows the opinions of future American voters is that of a cleaner world. The second to last question asks whether the participants thought that where the participants thought the foremost place of innovation was. The options for these questions were the same as the first one, with rural areas, small suburban towns, larger suburban towns, small urban areas, and large urban areas, with examples given for the second two as well. The answers varied, with larger cities leading with the survey with 40% of the vote, small urban areas leading, following that with 23.9% of the vote, and larger suburban areas following that with 16.7% of the vote. While this question may have been worded in such a way that it was a little confusing, it shows that cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles need to lead the world in the green revolution. Finally, the last question asks if something needed to be done about climate change. The answers being yes with 70% of the vote, as you can see there in orange, no with 11.1% of the vote, and maybe with an 18.9% of the vote. The results of the survey confirmed several expectations about how the population of Highlands High School believes to be represented, as they polled similarly to many young American voters. The evidence reviewed for this project mentioned that the previously conceived ideas of green energy and added ways to integrate green energy into different areas, as well as different renewable solutions such as hybrid vehicles, green roofs, solar farms, hydroelectric dams, and sustainable buildings. After amassing this research, a lack of solutions to climate change was discovered, so sources to fill this hole were searched. Drawdown, the most comprehensive plan to reverse global warming, edited by Paul Hawking, was selected to fill this gap. It allowed for the hole to be filled with many energy solutions such as geothermal energy, solar farms, as well as adding an explanation as to how global warming started. A disregard for environmentally friendly options. If humanity wants to survive on Earth, then the effects of global warming must be reduced and reversed by creating a hybrid society with urban areas existing as the forefront of the green revolution. The sources I researched supported this hypothesis with the exception of where the so-called green revolution has to start. Many of the sources gave green solutions for rural and suburban areas as well as urban areas, stating that everywhere needs to adopt the same type of practices to better the chances of reversing global warming. My research is similar to others that go over the same thing in this field. However, the research into all possible solutions as well as and climate change and global warming sets mine apart from the rest. Many others focus on either the cause or the solution, but not both. Renewable energy is paramount to reversing the effects of global warming on planet Earth. wind and solar have relentlessly defied predictions and are now competitive with coal and gas and oil. Renewable costs are continuing to fall on a year-to-year basis, while oil and gas and coal from new sources are significantly difficult to extract, which will cause carbon-based fuels to rise in cost. Global warming is a contributing factor to climate change, specifically concerning greenhouse gases and the rising in surface temperatures. In 2015, world leaders crafted new climate goals in the UNFCCC conference in Paris, France. This new agreement aims to limit the rise in global temperatures to less than 2 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels, and provide countries with the tools needed to best combat climate change. The Paris Agreement went into effect on November 4, 2016. As of March 2017, 134 countries, including the United States, had ratified the Paris Agreement. Through the research and maths, it's plain to see how, in order to replace the polluting non-renewable fuels, the next step in convincing the world is to make that switch so that they can prolong survival on this planet. Future research for this topic should focus on experimentation on model cities and gathering more quantitative data sources. Some limitations of this investigation were that the surveyed population had a rather small demographic, the sources that I used were rather similar in nature, and the data that I amassed had more qualitative evidence than quantitative statistics. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Jonah, very well done. A couple questions for you. First of all of the sources that you have posted there, which did you find to be the most useful in answering your gap?
The source that I found most useful in answering my gap was Drawdown, the most comprehensive plan to ending reversing global warming by editor Kyle Hawking, because it had so many different ways to incorporate renewable energy solutions, as well as different ways that different things that need to be stopped in order to reverse global warming.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. Good job.